great day, attractive thinkers and visual encouragers around the world. Welcome back to another episode of Beyond the Break. Give yourself a fighting chance. Dr. Toni Hatton here, your identity coach and get to the root specialist at theattractivethinker.guru. I am so delighted to support new and aspiring entrepreneurs. It is absolutely exciting to help you make your dreams come true, to remove the blocks, to show you the resources that are available to you to help you remove those limitations and those beliefs that no longer serve you so that you can get access to the dreams, the books, and the business ideas and unlock all of that internal treasure at the attractivethinker.guru, where we have mental tools for mental healing, mental strength, and mindset maintenance. You may have never heard of these tools before. They are real resources that really help you get free from the things that are holding you back: procrastination, faulty beliefs, lack of belief in yourself, lack of confidence. All of those things are real things. They are real things. And when we don't see them as real things, we won't approach them as such. That means they just linger on in our lives. It's like walking throughout life with all of these ropes and strings attached to you, and you could feel the tension, and you could feel the pull. You feel that you're not moving forward in full speed, and you don't know why, because these areas need to be addressed. Welcome, my co-host Tichet Bradshaw, to another episode of Beyond the Break. Give yourself a fighting chance.
Happy Mindset Monday, everybody. We made it. We get to make it again and again. We get to do what we've never done, go where we've never gone, and have all that we deserve to have in this lifetime. It's a great day to be aligned.
It is a fantastic and amazing day to be a live attractive thinker. And if you have been listening to these messages for a while, if you have been a private client of mine or a group coaching client, you have a copy of the Vision and Mindset Clarity affirmation already. And that is like the one of the first affirmations. It is a great day to be alive. That is a powerful perspective to have. It shifts your day when you wake up in the morning and that's the first thing that rolls off of your lips, or while you're on your way to the bathroom and you remind your mind that it is a great day to be alive. Because as soon as you wake up, it's not as soon as your feet hit the floor. As soon as you become aware that you are awake, the subconscious mind goes in. It goes in and it comes up with all kinds of scenarios and reasons as to why you should stay in the bed, why you shouldn't get up and pursue your dreams and goals, why you shouldn't put forth the effort, how many things are wrong, how you feel, and who said what, and how you think about what they said, and all before your feet even hit the floor. And this is why these mental tools for the attractive thinker generation are so essential, because you can make those shifts quick like a Rubik's cube. You can make those mental shifts so quick. By the time you get to the bathroom, you're in attractive thinker energy. You're in attractive thinker mode, and you're ready to start your day thinking attractively and not allowing that repetitive recorder to continue to bully you all throughout the day. I call it a mental bully that has all of these mental crows flying around, that need to be addressed, because today's message is you don't want to ignore this. Do not ignore this. Have your attractive thinker notebook handy and pen ready to take notes and capture these gems from today's episode, because you don't want to ignore this. What does ignore mean? Let me read the definition to you. To refrain from noticing. Don't act like you don't notice this message. Don't act like Tachette and I aren't getting ready to drop some massive gems for you to capture that's really going to support you in creating the level of success that you desire for your day, for your week, and throughout your entrepreneurial journey. To ignore means to not recognize, to avoid, to discount. Don't discount this message. This is not another message. It's not an ordinary message. This is a new message crafted just for you. This message that you're hearing right now. You want to tune in. to this message. Do not ignore. Don't glaze over it. Don't approach it as if it's an average message, because this message is strategically designed just for you. To ignore means to neglect, to overlook, to reject, or to evade. I want you to think about that. Don't ignore this message, because we're about to go in, and you definitely want to capture all of these gems, because you're going to need them. You say, "Well, Dr. Toni, what are gems?" Gems are treasures that are dropped throughout this message that you're not going to hear in the course of an average day. You're not going to hear in the routine of life. You're not going to hear this in the store, in the market, or on TV, or on the radio, or in a regular conversation. You're not going to hear these gems, and it's possible to go throughout your entire day and throughout your entire week without hearing anything that's going to stimulate your spirit, anything that's going to stop you in your tracks, or put a halt to your current routine, and support you in pivoting in another direction. Or you're not going to hear something, as you hear on our Beyond the Break episodes, something that's going to cause you to think, to stop and think, instead of being on automation. I gotta do this, I gotta do that, I've gotta get here, I've gotta get there. I'm just gonna do what I have to do. Let me just put this time and let me just get this done real quick. You want something that's gonna interrupt the pattern, so that you can be on a course to success. Let's say you might say, "Well, Dr. Toni, I'm on a course to success and I'm making progress." But do you know that there's more clarity? There are resources and answers that you haven't considered that will expedite your process, that will give you more clarity, that will support you in accomplishing these goals with more ease and less effort. So there's always room for growth, for new, for the abundance. There's always room for more and better and greater. This is who we are as attractive thinkers. We don't gather information or acquire something and we say, "I got it. I'm done learning." Or, "I got it. I don't need anything else." Or, "I got it this time. I don't have to invest in myself anymore. I don't need any more coaches. I don't need any more new information. I don't need any more new ideas." That's like the worst thing in the world to say, because ideas flow like running water. As soon as you get one idea, another one comes before you can even complete the last idea that you had. It's like a ever flowing river, an overflowing abundance of ideas and dreams and desires and creativity and solutions that you never even considered. So I shared all of that to say this message is one that you've never heard before, and you don't want to ignore this. Tichet, talk to us today about that area in our lives that is driving our lives totally, and it goes unnoticed and ignored.
We're talking today about our core belief system too, right? One of the things that's what we don't want to ignore is our core belief system, right? What you really believe at the core level. Um, one of the things that we, Dr. Toni, have done in our journey was to redevelop our core belief system as well as our personal belief system and things like that. The internal work is necessary because it affects your external manifestation, the way you live, the things you say yes to, the things you say no to, and why you say yes or no. All of that is because of your inner beliefs. It's because of your what you think on a subconscious level. There are a lot of times in life where I found myself unconscious, right? Where I was unconsciously building life. So I was just trying to get money. I was just trying to, get a house, a car, a dog, a man. I was trying to just build a life based on what the world said we had to have in order to be successful, right? I was unconsciously building. I didn't understand why I wanted that stuff. It just they said that this was good to have, and they did. Only to get to that point and felt like something was missing, right? So when I got to the point where you have a success on paper and but you don't feel the effects of that success, you then got to go back into your mind and say, what's going on, right? So what happened at that point is I hit a brick wall. When I hit that brick wall, it made me look at what what is this? What's life? What's going on? And then I had a shattering life experience, I'll call it, that woke me up a little more. It was like a heartbreak. I wasn't ready. It just seemed like everything I believed up to that point, as soon as the heartbreak happened, all of it shattered, right? And I was standing there and I just had nothing at this point, right? But I can't say that I didn't have nothing. The things that was there was my core. The things that came to the surface was what was already inside of me. My beliefs, my core beliefs, my personal beliefs, my spiritual beliefs. All of those things were at the what came to the surface when life hit a break, when we hit a break, right? Even if you have a break in success, when in the middle of that success, from one success to another, before you're creating this success, but you're done with that success, you're sitting there and you are forced to look at what you believe based on what you just done. What do you believe in this moment? Where do you want to go next? Well, sometimes in a break of success, a lot of people can feel a down of energy, right? And so you need to create something and for your next success in order to feel that energy again. But that energy that happens in the break of success is a boredom type of energy, right? And that low level boredom type of energy, meaning you feel the hunger of wanting a new success. Because the old success, it you can take part in telling the story about it, but it just don't fill you up the way you used to, right? And we're supposed to feel alive. We're doing these things so that we could feel alive and feel aligned, right? And so when we are experiencing a break, we're faced with us. We're faced with who we are, what we have done, what we've experienced, what happened in our childhood. We're faced with our traumas. We're faced with our dreams, our goals, the things we desire, our prayers. We're faced with all of that at the same time, right? And so a lot of those things that you have done in the past, plus the stuff you want in the future, ends up in your now by thought and by what you want to acquire, right? So you have all this stuff. What I mean by that is you have all this stuff in your past that went on, traumatizing, good, bad, whatever, right? You have all this stuff went on. You have all the dreams and the goals and stuff that you want to accomplish. Sometimes it could be based on what you didn't have when you were a child. You want to have those things in the future. But when you're in the present and you don't see the things that you want, but you have all that you just been through, you get to a place where you like, okay, what do I need to do to get this? If it was poverty, let's say it was poverty for a second. You went through poverty as a child, right? And your family didn't have much, and you watched your mother struggle working two or three jobs to take care of the home, and you grow up and you have that effect where you always feel like you're going to go back to that poverty. So you try to build to make sure you don't go to that poverty, but that experience of poverty is still in you. So you have the desire to have an overabundance where you can't even see poverty nowhere in your timeline. You want to have you want to go and get millions and millions and millions so it looks like you'll never be in poverty again. The thing about your present is, let's say your present does not, your present is you're not in poverty, but you're not at the place where you don't see the poverty anymore. Your presence is affected by that. And your belief based on poverty and abundance. Your belief is based on what you believe in abundance, right? So when you are making life decisions, you're making life decisions based on what you've been through and based on what you want to go through. You're saying yes to some things if it leads to where you want to go. You're saying yes to some things if it releases you from what you've had to already experience, right? So when you are in the present moment, you are exposed to all of these different thoughts and things, but you're exposed to what you have now, right? It is important to understand your core belief because your core belief allows you to understand your drive. It allows you to put into perspective, the right perspective of what you've been through and where you want to go, and have it in a great perspective now, right? And then that becomes your drive. Sometimes your drive is not just getting away from poverty. Your drive may be, okay, I want abundance, but that drive formed because you wanted to get away from poverty, right? So it's important to understand what your focal point is when it comes to your drive, right? It's important to understand what you believe on a personal level as well, because that also goes and may have been formed from your core belief system, right? And so, Dr. Toni, I would like for you to explain to us what the difference between a personal belief and a core belief, and how a person can shift their core belief. But what is essentially a core belief system?
Absolutely. So, Tichet, you said some things that I want to touch on, and we're going to get to what you just asked me in a second. You said unconsciously attractive thinkers. Don't ignore this. That's what I want to say about this message. Don't ignore this. Make sure you capture these gems, because if you don't hear anything else and you don't um, take heed or follow through with any other message, you don't want to ignore this message, because this is the root that's going to affect it's going to affect the fruit in your life. This is the root that's going to affect the fruit. You said unconsciously, we end up unconsciously building a life on the standards of the world because they said it was good, only to get there and realize something's missing. So in your attractive thinker notebook, I want you to write down something's missing. Out of all of your efforts, out of all of your good works, out of all of your accomplishments, out of all of the your drive and your determination and the things that you desire to do with your life, all of the energy and the time that you spent and the money that you spent to get to where you are, something is still missing. So don't ignore this message. Something is still missing. You said, you mentioned about heartbreak, and you mentioned about when the heart broke, you woke up a little bit more. The shattering of the heart. When something breaks, it shatters. When the heart breaks, it shatters. That shattering is what wakes you up. It's like you're in a deep sleep and you're startled by something. When you hear something shatter, it startles you. Imagine being at a restaurant, and you may have experienced this before. You're enjoying the people that you're with, you're at the table, you're having a good time, and all of a sudden a waitress or a chef drops the dishes and they break. That shattering sound, it startles everybody in the room. Everybody turns to see what just broke. So we are beyond the break. Our message is beyond the break. Give yourself a fighting chance. And when the break part that we're talking about is when the heart breaks. When the heart breaks, it startles you. It catches you off guard, and you don't recognize. Everything changes. Just like when the dishes break in a restaurant, all the conversations cease. Even the positions that people are in changes, because everybody's turning around to see, where did the shattering take place? Where did that shatter sound come from? So the shattering heartbreak wakes you up a bit, and it's the heart that shatters. So I thought about this. If it's the heart that shatters, are you saying that before the break, the question was, before the break, are we really living? If you're saying that the shattering wakes us up a bit to shed, and you said that we were unconsciously going throughout life, building life based on the standards that we were taught to believe, so are you saying prior to the break we weren't fully living and we were
No.
comfortable with that,
Mhm.
and we were okay with that, and that was our norm, and we felt successful not fully living? We were used to not fully living. um when you wake up due to a break, you no longer go along to get along. Things change. Something shifts inside of you. Your heart can't break without something shifting inside of you. And what is that something that shifts inside of us? How we see life, what we believe, what we no longer tolerate, and what we now accept. Our viewpoints change. Our desires change. When our heart breaks, there are certain things that we used to desire, we don't even want it anymore. And there are certain things that we never desired. Now, all of a sudden, we want that more than anything. Think about that. Um, you confront your internal truths and beliefs when the heart breaks. Don't ignore this message because this is a game changer. When the heart breaks, you're forced to address your internal beliefs and your truths because, when your heart breaks, sometimes the first thing come out, you know what, forget it, I'm done. Just forget it. I tried and I can't keep taking hits like this. I'm done. So now your goals change. Now the things that you aspire to accomplish with your life or experience with your life, now they lost their impact in your life. You don't really have to have them anymore or have to experience that anymore. Your joy is on simmer. It's not a blazing joy. It's not bountiful joy. It's just on simmer, and sometimes it's not even on simmer. It's watered down. It is not even at a boiling stage yet because of a heartbreak. You're no longer comfortable with not knowing who you are. When your heart breaks, there are questions that you've had for your entire life that you now need answers for, and you're not going to settle for not having an answer for it. You're now confronting your truths and the things that matter to you, and you're absolutely adamant about getting an answer. Either I'm going to get an answer now or I'm going to stop trying. Either I'm going to get an answer to these questions right now or I'm going in a whole other direction. Either I'm going to get an answer right now, I'm just going to throw my hands up and be done with all of this. A heartbreak will position you for that kind of confrontation in your life. It forces you to seek the truth about the matter. Um, you no longer are comfortable with not knowing who you are or where you're going. You're forced to come face to face with yourself. You can no longer ignore yourself. What is that coming face to face with yourself? What is that thing that we no longer need to ignore or we no longer should ignore? It's our core belief. See, we all have beliefs. If I ask you, what are your beliefs or what is your core belief? You might start off saying, well, I believe that God is good and I believe that, faith works, or I believe that abundance is real. I believe that I deserve all the good things that life has to offer. I believe that I'm wealthy. I believe that I'm worthy. Those are beliefs. But when you want to get to the root of a core belief, those other beliefs are about other things outside of you. A core belief is what you believe about you. You could believe a lot of things. You could believe things. You could have a whole set of beliefs about money. You could have a whole set of beliefs about men. You could have a whole set of beliefs about women. You already have a whole set of beliefs about dogs versus cows. When you go to the farm, you're walking in with a whole set of beliefs about these animals. You didn't just adopt these beliefs about these animals before you got there or when you walked into there. You came in there with beliefs that are preset. And you know what happens with those preset beliefs? They dictate your experience before you even walk through the gate. They dictate your experience of those animals on that farm before you even walk through the gate. You haven't even seen the pigs and you already have beliefs about them. And those, this is an example of core beliefs. Now here's the deal. You might have beliefs about the pigs and about the cows and the goats, but it's your core belief that's going to drive how you respond to these animals. It's your core belief that's going to drive. Now when I say core belief, I'm not talking about your belief about the animals. I'm talking about your belief about you. What do you believe about yourself? How do you see you? Do you see yourself as a failure? Do you see yourself as a victor? Do you see yourself as a victim? Do you see yourself as a loser? Do you see yourself as an overcomer? And why am I saying that? Because when we go throughout our lives and we face circumstances as new and aspiring entrepreneurs, we're not exempt from life just because you decided to get a life. Okay, so life will continue to happen while you're trying to build your legacy and build your life and enjoy your life. Life is not going to stop and say, you know what, let's take a break from these experiences and circumstances to give them a chance so they can enjoy life and create life and give them a chance to build something that they can grasp onto. And then we'll come back at them with experiences and things like that. Life is not going to do that. You're going to have to know how to navigate these waters while you are carving new generational paths in your life and in your business. And this is why the attractive thinker and beyond the break exists. This is why the visual encourager is here to help you navigate these waters and come out without drowning. Accomplish your goals without drowning. Accomplishing your goals without losing your business blueprint and your business plan and the boat overturning and you not making it back to the shore after you've launched out into the deep in your life. This is why we exist. So beliefs, we all have them. But it's the core beliefs that you don't want to ignore. Why? Because they're the ones that are driving your life. They're driving your decisions. They're driving what triggers you. They're driving your core belief is the reason why you wore that outfit that you have on right now. Whether it be an outfit for outside or whether you're sitting here listening to this message in your pajamas. Your core belief is what decided what you have on right now. That's how important your core belief is, and that's why it shouldn't be ignored because it is driving your entire life. So, you mentioned Tichet, you said we build, 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 and you build, build, build so you'll never end up in poverty again. That's that core belief driving your life. Because how are we going to build and reach goals and hit landmarks and check things off of our list and still in the back of our mind, how are we going to be wealthy and still fear poverty? That's that core belief. You done did all of this stuff, but you didn't uproot that core belief. And then when we don't uproot that core belief to shut, and we're still in that same vehicle, that core belief vehicle, it'll drive us right back to where we came from.
Always.
It will dry eventually. You'll get to reach your goals and you'll get to the mountaintop, so to speak, and you'll be able to enjoy it for a season. But if you're not vigilant and diligent concerning your core belief, you'll wake up one day and you're right back where you started, and you'll wonder, how did I get here from there? Because you ignored the core belief. You ignored the driver. And when you ignore the driver will drive wherever it wants to go. It will drive you wherever it wants to go. It will drive your life wherever it wants to go. Where it's programmed to drive your life in your business, it'll drive you right back there because you ignored the driver. You didn't confront the driver. You didn't address the driver. You didn't say, hey, wait, we're going in the wrong direction. Or, hey, I thought I said I wanted to go to the left and you're driving me to the right. I mean, think about it. If you got in a car, and we have all kinds of car services now. If your car service pulled up and you got in a car and you know the route to where you needed to go, and the driver began to go in a different route, are you really going to sit there and not say anything? Because if the driver is going in a direction opposite of where you wanted to go, you're experiencing things that you don't necessarily have to experience, all because you're going in the opposite direction. So this driver is allowing you to experience, causing you to experience things that you don't have to necessarily experience. And to shed the number one thing, we realize our life is not going, or our business is not going in the direction that we want it to go in. We try to change all this external stuff. We exhaust ourselves. Well, I need to get rid of my team, or I need to make some changes, or maybe I need to not sing, record this song. Maybe I need to write a whole new song. Maybe that's why I'm not reaching my goal. Or I need to wear this outfit and not that outfit. Or I need to get my hair cut like this and not like that. Or I need to make this or I need this endorsement and this sponsorship. Maybe that'll get me ahead. And you're ignoring everything but the driver. You're ignoring everything but your core belief. When the core belief is aligned in the direction of your goals, you can get there quicker. You can get there with minimal effort. You can get there with minimal circumstances and detrimental experiences. You can take the short route instead of the long scenic route. when you have the right driver in place, because the driver, what's driving your life, is accomplishing at least 98 to 99% of your results. What's driving your life? So uh you said build. You'll never so that you never enter into poverty again. And I said that's a belief. You said I said that keeps perpetuating in your life, um not your financial status. It's not your financial status that is the cause of this, but your ingrained mental status that is the cause of this. Your financial status is not the cause of poverty. You say, oh, I'm poor because I make this amount of money or I bring in this kind of revenue. It's not. It's your mental status that can cause poverty. What you believe about yourself. Because what you believe about yourself, no matter what happens in life, no matter what happens in your business, what you believe about yourself, you're always going to blame yourself for it. You're always going to say, if I was more of this, that wouldn't have happened. If I had more of that, that wouldn't have happened. If I was smarter, if I was brighter, if I had made this or that or the other decision, if I was this hyped, or if I had this in my life, that would have never happened. When the core belief is not intact and it's not a healthy core belief, you always end up blaming yourself for things that just happen naturally in life. Can you imagine the burden and the weight that you have put on yourself? You've blamed yourself for things that weren't even your responsibility. They weren't even your fault. But because the core belief is faulty, you blame yourself for everything that goes wrong in your life and in your business. And over time, can you imagine how that can make you feel on the inside? How we end up breaking our own hearts when we do that, Tichet? Because the mind needs someone to blame. The mind always says, well, there's something at fault here in order for this or that or the other to happen. And most of the time it blames you. And if that's the case, we enter into cycles of always shifting ourselves and changing ourselves and pinching and pulling on ourselves and poking at ourselves and tweaking ourselves. Listen, you are fantastic and amazing just as you are. You were born fantastic and amazing. You were born great. You were born abundant. You were born rich and born wealthy and born with clarity and wired for destiny, wired for massive results to take place in your life, wired for abundance. You don't have to keep tweaking and pinching and poking and twisting and turning yourself to reach your goals. Most of the time that I've discovered, Tichet, in my own life and in coaching private attractive thinkers in private coaching sessions, the biggest thing that I've discovered is that there are things that we have allowed into our lives and we have placed them on top of our greatness. I've received more success and results and progress in my life when I stopped pinching and pulling and tweaking and twisting myself inside out and started getting rid of things that were holding me back, getting rid of things that I no longer needed, getting rid of things that were taking up space in my life, getting rid of things that were holding me back and breaking my heart, getting rid of things that caused me to second guess myself and my gifts and my greatness. I had to get rid of those things. Think about that. Could it be that you're perfect just the way you are? You might say, well, Dr. Toni, perfect is a strong word. Nobody's perfect. You are perfect for the life that you've been chosen to live. You are perfect for the life you've been chosen to experience. Else you would not be here. You're perfect for this life experience. You're deserving and worthy of this life experience. And you have to get to a point and place in your life where you're tired of limiting beliefs bullying you throughout your life. You're tired of having a mental battle in the morning before your feet even hit the floor. Mental battles are, I think they're more exhausting to shed than a physical battle. I think a mental battle does more damage than a physical battle. I think a mental battle bruises the soul more than anything.
Yeah.
Constantly wearing yourself out, constantly not seeing yourself as a good person, constantly not seeing yourself as powerful, constantly thinking that something is wrong with you. constantly trying to fix yourself, constantly blaming yourself for things, constantly taking on the burden and responsibility of the outcome all on you, not understanding that there were other factors involved in the results that you got, other factors that had nothing to do with you. You're not the only factor involved in your success. There are other factors involved. You're not the only factor involved in your circumstances. You're not the only factor involved in the results that you get and whether your dreams come true or not. It's not just all up to you. There are other factors involved. You have to invite in divine power, divine guidance, divine destiny. You have to factor in purpose. You have to factor in the people, places, and things around you. You have to factor in your talents and your skill set and the things that you've exposed yourself to. And one of the biggest things that you don't want to ignore when we talk about core belief, don't ignore your childhood programming. Don't think, oh, I'm not a child anymore. That thank God that doesn't affect me anymore. No, it doesn't work like that. It doesn't work like that. When you, as a child, you're in an environment, you're a sponge. Your brain is just absorbing everything, and not only absorbing everything, what we observe as children, to shed, those observations are telling us that this is what life is all about, because that's all we've been exposed to. What else are we supposed to use as a gauge for what life is all about if we've only been exposed to this environment or these people or this set of circumstances? Where else are we supposed to gather information from if we're confined to this set of conditions? So this environment in our childhood taught us what life was all about. And it taught us what to expect from life. It taught us how to communicate in life. It taught us what people to have around us as we go throughout our lives. So don't think just because you become an adult that, oh, it's free hunky dory and I'm scot free and I get to create the life that I desire. I'm free now. You're taking your childhood with you. You're taking those experiences and beliefs with you. And when you don't ignore them and you confront them, then that's when you can get free. How are you going to get free from something that you don't even know exists? How are you going to get free from a faulty belief that you don't even know exists? You can consciously say, well, I don't believe that, or I believe this. But it's not what we consciously say, it's what we subconsciously believe. I could say positive things all day long and have a faulty belief, a faulty core belief going on inside of me that is making decisions for me. It's determining my success. Think about that. So, what you don't want to ignore is your core belief. Write this down in your attractive thinker notebook because it is affecting your life and it is affecting your business. And I'm going to give you some examples of how it is affecting that. But write this down in your attractive thinker notebook. What is my core belief? You don't have to know what it is. You don't even know how, you don't even have to know how to discover it. When you ask the question, just pay attention to how your life responds to that. Pay attention to what unfolds throughout your day. Pay attention to what comes to the forefront of your mind or catches your attention. Because the power inside of you heard you and it knows how to lead and guide you in the direction that will answer your question. Our truth and our answers come from within. You don't have to go outside of yourself for anything, and answers will come to you. And you have to be diligent. You have to do your own homework. Do your own research. Tichet, talk to us. I'm gonna give some examples about how the core belief it plays out in our life and business, but I want you to talk to us about the core belief, meaning how what we believe about ourselves, and how is that different from, or why is that even more important than what we believe about things outside of ourselves, people, places, and things outside of ourselves? Why is the core belief more important?
Absolutely. Because when you have the belief about yourself, okay, so when you have a core belief, that belief is built up over time,
Mm-hmm.
right? Over time, over experience, and things like that. When you don't know what that belief is, you don't understand what your focal point is, right? It's like having a sound in the background and you don't know what it is. You ever been in your house and you need to change the fire alarm and
Mm-hmm.
you hear the cheep, cheep? You ever been on the phone with somebody and you hear that chirp? and
Mhm.
they don't hear it. They're talking and that chirp is going on. So
Mhm.
your core belief system is allowing you to understand what needs to function, how things need to function, right? There's a certain way that your core beliefs allow you to function.
Mhm.
You One of the things, Dr. Toni, you were saying, that when we have our core belief, you were saying, how do you know what you need to change if you don't know what's there, right? If you don't even know the core belief is there. And that was true because when we don't know what's functioning in our background, even if we said things out of our mouth, we can, like you said, the affirmations, we can say the affirmations all day. Our core belief, if our core belief does not match those affirmations, we can push the very thing we're trying to call in. You
Mhm.
can call in abundance all you want to, and your core belief will push it away and not even know it because you don't even realize that your action and your things you say yes or no to is affected by your core belief. I always used to say this when you want to answer prayer, right? Let's say, for instance, you pray for a sandwich. Just to keep it simple, you're praying for a sandwich. If you don't have the core belief that you're going to be fed, you're not going to look for that sandwich. You're not going to look for that sandwich. You're going to look for what you focus on, and that's the I'm not going to be fed. So you're going to be focused on the fact that the sandwich is not here yet versus I know it's on the way, I know it's coming. Here's the thing. Somebody can be on your front porch with what you are looking for with that sandwich. And because you don't have the core belief to match that it's coming, you're not looking for it. They not knocking on the door, they just out there and they have exactly what you're needing. But because you believe, you're so focused on the fact that it's not here yet, and you're living in the energy of not having, you're not going to go and look to see where it is, right? But if your core belief matches abundance, it matches the fact that you believe that just because you're hungry you will be fed, you're gonna be searching every which way, like, where is it? Is it under there? Is it under there? You'll see somebody, excuse me, do you have, or you'll have enough sense to follow your intuition, follow your spirit, and it will lead you to somebody who will just automatically say, oh, I got something right here, and this, that, and you end up getting exactly what you asked for. Your energy is everything, but your energy is affected by your core belief. Your energy is letting you know what's going on in that background, because you can stand in the mirror and say, I am beautiful, I am beautiful, I am beautiful, but there's an energy that is attached to it, right? When you have an energy, when you're saying those affirmations, you go, I am beautiful, I am beautiful, I am beautiful, and you trying to make yourself really believe you're beautiful, that's because your core belief is not there yet. You're working on it, which is a good thing, but your core belief does not match, right? Or you go, I am happy, I am happy, I am happy, but your energy is feeling the lack of it. That's a different type of energy when versus when you have happiness, or when you have fulfillment, or when you have the aliveness. Because to me, happiness is not having everything go right in your life and nothing ever goes wrong, and you are free from problems. Happiness is not all of the things I described. Now, if you're unconscious, then maybe it is. But when once you get conscious, and and you understand the subconscious, the superconscious versus the unconscious, when you start understanding those things, your definition of happiness starts to change. And then you realize you just want to feel alive. Everything does not need to be perfect in order for you to feel alive. You need to be in movement and progress and learn new things and be exposed to some new things that help you to get some understanding of our life, right? A lot of times we're walking unconsciously and we're trying to make sense of life from an external. Of course, you're going to blame what just happened. Oh, my light bill not paid, so that must be why I'm not happy. I just that bus really got on my nerves, so that must be why I got fired. This is why it's important to sit with yourself. We always talk about this every week. It is important to understand yourself, self-care. We talk about the self because we operate out of the self and the spirit. If you can be in the spirit all you want to, but if you ignore yourself, it's going to affect your spirit. If you ignore yourself will go into a place where it just, it go to a bottom of a basement type of feeling. And then next thing you know, your spirit is affected. And you're trying to pour yourself out, and you like, my spirit just don't feel right. Yes, because you ignored the self and made decisions that didn't go with your spirit. You ignored yourself and said yes to things you should have said no to. You've ignored yourself and you ate things that did not agree with yourself. So now you got to sit, because you have to realize you're not just spirit. Your spirit, you are a spirit having a human experience. In order to understand what life truly is, you got to understand what your core belief is about who is operating in this physical body. What does it consist of? What does it like? What brings it up? What brings it down? What hurts my arm? What doesn't? What makes my stomach hurt? What breaks my heart? When I hear stuff, what drains my energy versus what lifts it up? You got to be aware of all of that stuff, so you don't go out here making decisions based on what somebody else said. This is what you have to have. When I was growing up, they say, well, you go to school, you go to elementary school, you learn your ABCs, your 1, 2, 3s, you go to middle school, you go to high school, you graduate high school, you go to college, you get a degree, you get a job based on that degree, you marry somebody, you have more than one child, of course, because you got to have a boy or girl, a dog or a cat, and you get a house that has a white picket fence, and you have this nice house and this yard, and your kids can run through the yard with the background and got the playground and all that, and you have all of that external image in your head, and you have those core beliefs that that's how life is supposed to be, right? But then when you grow up, you realize you don't even want to be married. You like being by yourself, and that's okay, right? You might like being married, and that's okay. You might not like living in this type of house. You might like a rancher, and that should be okay. But they told you that this is what you're supposed to do, so you made decisions based on this is what you're supposed to do. They say you be a doctor, you be a lawyer, you want to be a nurse, you want to be this, you want to be that, whatever makes the 6 figures that can afford a 6-figure house. That's what you want to do. It's whatever we can be proud of, but it's like if you want to be a bus driver, you can't be proud. You can't be proud of that. They have such bad ideas of certain professions, but if that person loves those professions, why can't they be happy doing those professions if that's what they love to do? So happiness does not have a financial number attached to it. There's no number attached to happiness. And I can tell you one thing, Dr. Toni. You can have millions of dollars. And believe me, I know some folk. You can have millions of dollars and still feel like you never accomplished enough, feel like you don't have enough. You can still feel the lack, the abundance. You can still feel that anger, that depression. I can't tell you how many times I laid on an expensive bed and cried the same way I would on a poor one. How many times you get in these big oversized houses and you're in there by yourself crying? That's happiness? No, happiness, to me, happiness is a fleeting type of thing, right? It's fleeting. But it's the aliveness we're looking for. Happiness, you assume it's perfection. It's not perfection. If you are looking for perfection, you're chasing a ghost. because life is always going to go on, like Dr. Toni said earlier. Life is always going to go on. You're chasing ghosts if you're looking for perfection. And I say this because I was a person who I was collecting perfection. I was walking around collecting perfection. My house had to be perfect. My body had to be perfect. My hair had to be perfect. My money had to be perfect. My business had to be perfect. My friends had to be perfect. I even required my husband to be perfect. Imagine my surprise when he wasn't, and how I responded to him not being perfect. I responded to him the same way I responded to me being imperfect. So then what happens is, because your core belief is looking for perfection, and you realize you're not perfection because you failed in the third grade. You made a mistake 2 years ago. You said some things you shouldn't have said. You went on some roads you shouldn't have went on. And you judge yourself based on the imperfection of you. You block yourself from the ability to grow, and you block yourself from receiving the answer to the very prayer you spoke that you thought came out of perfection. That answer prayer does not come because of perfection. That answered prayer comes because you believed, you had faith, even when you didn't see the possibility, even when you didn't have the facts, or even when you didn't have the existence, the example of that answer in your face. That's a difference between belief and faith, really. When you have a belief, you have the evidence in your hand. When you have a belief, you have a reason why you know a certain thing. You have the facts of the truth of the matter when you have belief. But when you have faith, sometimes you don't have all the facts. You have a knowing. When you have a faith, you have a knowing that is bigger than the lack of evidence. And that knowing is strong enough to make you move, so you can walk and do things in faith, right? How many of us sit here, go in a brand new building you've never been into before? You walking on these floors. You hear a creak in the floor, a small amount of creak. While you are walking in these floors, you just assume that the person who built that house, that building, and that floor did everything they were supposed to do. You're faithfully walking across the floor, believing that they did what they're supposed to do, right? Faith. When you have belief, it's because you know they did what they're supposed to do. The nails was everywhere they need to go. The glue was everywhere it need to go. You know that they did that. You saw evidence that they did it. You believe that floor is intact because you can see that the floor, it looks like it's intact. And sometimes that's all you need with belief. It just need to look like it's intact. But when you have faith, you're not worried about the floor. You're worried about where you're trying to go, the journey. And you're when the floor creak, you just move on over and keep walking. You don't even look to see where that creak came from, because you know you got a task at hand, and that's your purpose.
Yes.
Your purpose. How many times you go in the front door and they say, well, you got to go see somebody all the way in the back. You don't even really pay attention to the floor in a way that floor becomes your focal point. Your focal point is to go see whatever was the purpose that's in the back. So you hold your head up high and you start walking, assuming that the concrete is there.
Mm.
Assuming you're not having a final destination moment, right? You're walking in faith, right? So I want you to not hear me physically, but hear me spiritually. Hear me mentally, consciously, right? When I talk about that floor, I'm talking about life. I'm talking about when life gets to a point that you don't have to know that there's a job out there for you. You don't have to see the evidence of the job that's out there for you if you desire a job or a business, right? You don't have to wait for somebody to say you're hired. Here's the job. This is the description. You have a knowing that there's something out there. And so you go and, is it over here? Is it over there? And you start making decisions. Oh, you start telling people, oh, I'm not going to be available next week because I'm going to be working by that time. I'm going to be working by that time. So I can't let something else take the place of something I'm waiting for. Why would we fill up our time with stuff that does not have anything to do with our purpose? Right? Unless we believe that there's nothing coming.
Mm. 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 Mm.
Right? So you get upset because you don't have a house, so you take an apartment. You said a house. You prayed for a house. And this is external, but I want you to take it internally. When I say house, I don't want you to think physical building. I want you to think what's holding your spirit. I want you to think home. I want you to think what's holding your dreams. I want you to think what's holding you house, right? I don't want you to just think building because this has nothing to do with external. But if you're thinking of a house and you're praying for a bigger house, a better house, a more functional house, a free house, abundance house. I'm not talking about in height and width here. I'm talking about a life where you are full and alive. It is grand. You've realized there's so much more to you than this physical shell. You realize that there's some inner workings, some outer workings, some overworkings. You realize that there's so much more to you. You find some talents and some goals and some passion and some desires and a new love you never had. And you end up falling in, you imagine life feeling in love, right? And the feeling of love is also the feeling of alive. It's in the same energy, right? Imagine that's what you pray. You pray to have that life, but you are holding on to your core belief that nobody in this family ever makes it.
Mm.
Nobody in this neighborhood never makes it.
Mm.
Nobody in my family's never had millions. So what am I looking for to have a house or millions? Nobody in my family or nobody or you've had somebody in a teacher who was operating outside of their passion and didn't have no compassion, sat there and told you you wasn't going to amount to nothing. And you took that on. This is why I said in one of our episodes in our first year, I said, when somebody says it to you, it's one thing. But when you take what they said and beat it yourself over the head with them, that is a self-abuse. Because when people say something about you, it does not solidify until you take it and say it over yourself and allow yourself to function from it. So when somebody says you're not going to amount to anything, and you take that and you're I don't amount to anything. You're fighting harder and harder and harder against something that was never really even true, that shouldn't have even penetrated enough for you to function out of it, right? And you go so hard in the paint to try to prove them wrong. Why do you have to prove what another person said wrong if you don't believe it? So if you have something to prove, that's because it's a part of your core belief that you allow that person to penetrate. Because I can go over here and call you cheese and crackers, and you'll look at me and call me crazy. What you mean I'm cheese and crackers? What? You know, you're such a cheese and cracker, right? And you be like, girl, get out of here with that. And then you be like, so what we doing tomorrow? You
Mm.
know, you go on with your life and your purpose, right? But when somebody looks at you and they might say, they could say, that's why you broke, busted, and disgusted.
Mm.
And you get mad and triggered
Mm.
because one of those words was in your core belief.
Say it.
They stirred a pot that already had water in it. You
Yeah.
can't stir a pot that don't have nothing in it.
Yeah. Yeah.
Don't let people out here stir no pot. You make sure you don't have nothing in no pot for them to stir, and don't give them the opportunity to put anything in your pot.
Yes. Mm.
You gotta build your life, right? And so when you start to do the inner workings, knowing the self knowing the spirit and how to balance the two, right? When you start to understand the unconscious, the subconscious, the superconscious, and the conscious, when you start, and not in that order, when
Mm-hmm.
you start to understand those things, you find so much more to life. Just like life or death. There's no life without death. A lot of times we try to eliminate the word death in our life, but there's some things in your life that's going to have to die in order for you to be alive and here. You got to be reborn. And I'm not talking about how the religious people do it. You have to be reborn, meaning you got to let go of the old core beliefs and allow yourself to be reborn with the new core beliefs. And the only way to do that is to die to self and let your renewed self start to build a way of life. Your new life may not even look like your old life, but let me tell you something. When you don't get to the bottom of your core belief and you start making decisions, regardless of whether you have changed addresses, changed spouses, changed jobs, changed business, changed clothes, changed the way you eat, if your core belief does not shift it, you don't shift that driver, that's where in the end you're going to end up at recreating the same thing, because a lot of times we create our creation starts on our core belief.
Yes.
You can change address and get the same misery in a new address.
Mm-hmm.
You can change spouses and get the same misery out of a different spouse, and then you on marriage 4, 5, and 6. But if you're on marriage 4, 5, and 6, no judgment, because if you ain't happy, you ain't happy, right? we are a team. If something not right, then you gotta figure that out. So no judgment. But what I'm saying is get until you get it right. What I'm saying is the the core belief of us should be intact before we go interacting with anybody.
Mm.
Before you get in a relationship, you need to know your core belief so you don't accept their core belief.
Yes.
Imagine somebody going through all the poverty and the abuse and all that stuff of their core belief, and you not knowing your core belief, never been through poverty, never been through abuse, but all of a sudden you date them because they cute and they said a few nice words. Oh, you're beautiful. I'll take care of you. Yes, I'll do that. They give you all the love bombing in the world. And you get in a relationship, and all of a sudden you build in life. And next thing you know, you look around and like, where all this poverty come from?
Mm.
Where did all of this abuse come from? When did I say yes to abuse? When you was unconscious. That's when you say yes. But now that you're conscious, you get to change it. Subconsciously, when we are listening to things, we are subconsciously taking in everything.
Yes.
So, for instance, when you are listening to, let's say somebody is listening to a television in the room, in your room. In other words, play this video in a room full of people. They're going to subconsciously get it. It's going to play in the subconscious. So when you start tapping to even if they are unconscious, if somebody went and tapped into their subconscious, what was playing in the background will come to the forefront, right? Because this video was playing in their subconscious, right? Some of our dreams that we have at night when we sleep is our subconscious playing out images and visions and things like that. What we fear, what we desire plays out in the dreams, right? Um, and it's more to dreams than that, but just on a basic. Um, a lot of times people like Dr. Toni and I, we tend to listen to things on multi levels, right? We don't just listen on a surface level. We do listen on a surface level, but we listen on a deep, right? And the reason why we listen on a deep, because we know that there's always two parts or two or more parts to everything, right? And so when we are giving out information to other people, sometimes we pulling out information subconsciously, things we didn't even know we collected, things we didn't even know we listened to. You didn't even know there was a certain song that was playing in the background. that was affecting you subconsciously and causing you to walk your life more unconsciously. You didn't even know. So then when you start working on your consciousness, you start getting exposed to all this stuff you've been taking in subconsciously. So what happens when you don't have your core belief intact and you meet up with somebody who has a different core belief than yourself? This is why they say don't be unequally yoked, right? That means that if your core beliefs are not the same and your core beliefs can't build together, let's not yoke that, right? So if a person is operating out of poverty, not being broke, because like you said, Dr. Toni, sometimes we can have things happen out of our doing, out of our without our effort, right? You could lose a job and then you lose your income. It could be the only income in the house. You lose a job because of the pandemic, and then all of a sudden you don't have any income, and you lose your home, right? Because you're shocked by it and everything goes so fast, right? And when we were in a pandemic, a lot of us lost our jobs and couldn't work really too many places because not too many places were open, and you lose your home, right? With time, those are the type of things that happen, right? Without your effort or without you doing in a negative sense is what we're saying, right? Now there's two people that can have the same situation, and one of them have a core belief that they can make it, and they will find a way to make it. And another person will have a core belief that I can't believe this is happening. And they'll sit down and then they won't think that there's another job out there for them, and they'll just sit there and cry about what they're blaming, and then nothing happens. But the person with the core belief of I'm going to make this work is going to say, I don't know what I need to do, but I need to do something. What am I good at? What am I good at? Okay, I can do this. Maybe I didn't like that job. Maybe I wanted to be released from that job. Now this is an opportunity, right? It's an opportunity for me to see who I really am, and maybe let me make a business. And then that person starts a business, and then that person succeeds in that business and brings in an income more than they did when they had the job, right? But let's say those are the scenarios, right? So you can be with a person who had that unexpected instance happen, and they go broken, and they because of the core belief of poverty, they say, here we go again, here we go again. And you, next thing you know, you're looking around and it's poverty. But a person who always believed they can will. A person who always believed that they can will build and build and build and build. And then it will begin to think, okay, if this ever happens again, what would I do? But not in a fear type of way. It starts to prepare, and then it goes on with life, right? But this is how we gotta have a balance, because you can't act like stuff's not gonna happen. Life's not gonna be perfect. You're not gonna be without stuff. Life is gonna happen. I hate to break that to you, right? You can be in the state of heal, but the difference between being in a state of healing and being in a state of heal and being in a state of hurt is you shift from life having problems to life having challenges. That's a major shift right there, right? And the reason why is because challenges, you can break through. Challenges, you can move. Challenges come. Challenge When a challenge is born, an answer is born already with it. You just gotta seek and see what that answer is. But when you have a problem, oh, it's just you tired in your spirit, you tired in your body, you're emotionally eating, you're just watching television and take your mind off of it. You sticking your head in the sand to pretend it's gonna go away, and it just infests. It just festers right up in there. You just ignore it like an open sore. You never treat it because you never thought it could be healed. You just thought if it go away, I ain't got to deal with it. But everything happens for a reason and a purpose, right? And with that reason and that purpose, is discovered when you start figuring out what your core beliefs, what your personal beliefs is, what your spiritual beliefs, your financial beliefs, and once you have your personal beliefs in play and understand your core beliefs, then you can go out here and make decisions
Yes.
based on that. Because you're not going to say yes to working here in misery, and that's not your jurisdiction. I tell people all the time that's not my jurisdiction. Mm-mm. That's not something I do. That's not something I want to do. Even if it's something I could do, that's not something in my passion. That's not something I fit that makes me feel alive. That's not something that I can connect with. That's not something that induces growth. That's not something that at the end of the night I'm going to feel great about. So no, I'm not doing it. Right? Um we don't we don't have to always know everything. We just have to be able to resonate with certain things and take it one step at a time. Your core belief, you got to go in and assess everything. You got to take off, like we always say, open those, take off those bandages and open those wounds and clean that stuff out. So you can understand what you're really dealing with here, and you can make sure that you're not building a scar that is going to end up. You're not building a scar that is unnecessary.
Mm.
We want to make sure that if we heal in the right way. And I'm talking about in the spirit, I'm not talking about physical. You have to be willing to do the spiritual surgery, the core belief surgery. You have to be willing to do that stuff in order for you to operate in a life where you feel alive every day. And then you can say, this is a great day to be alive. Back to you, Dr. Toni.
So fantastic and amazing. Attractive thinkers and visionaries. I trust that you have captured these gems. You do not want to ignore this message. It is rich and it is full today. If you already have your copy of the Attractive Thinker book on Amazon, I want you to use page 201 and use that as a supplement to this message to deepen this experience. Remember to read page 201. Now, Tishet, you talked about ignoring yourself. That really set with me because ignoring yourself affects your spirit, like you said. Now, when we ignore ourselves, if we believe that all of heaven is inside of us, the power, the wisdom, everything we create or everything we're going to have in this life is going to come from inside of us, ignoring ourselves is ignoring God.
Yeah.
Ignoring ourselves is ignoring the divine power in us. And when you think about it that way, most people say, oh my God, no, I would never ignore God. But you're ignoring you, and He's in you. So, what do you think is happening when you ignore you? When we talk about another resource I wanted to share pertaining to this message, because when we are getting to the root of what our core belief is, you need mental reminders. You need to remind your mind. And the Attractive Thinker book is full of them. There's a section in the book specifically for you in this topic that we're talking about right now. You don't want to miss, just turn all the way to the back of the book. It's near the back. That's all I'm going to say about it. If you know, you know. If you have your copy, you know. So you want to pay attention to that resource and use it. It is a powerful resource. It's a resource that will never it will not leave a moment of your day unsupported mentally. It will not allow you to walk throughout your day unsupported mentally. It's an awesome resource, and I created that as a result of coaching attractive thinkers down through the years. And I began to listen and pay attention and capture the areas in their lives where they needed the mental support the most. So that resource is in the back of the book. Tishet, you said you can have millions of dollars and still feel the effects of poverty and still feel poor. And when you said that, to me, what that's saying is there's something in our spirit that needs to be addressed. Poverty is a spirit. I want you to
Mm-hmm.
write that down in your Attractive Thinker notebook. Poverty is a spirit, it is not a financial state, it is a mental state. I want you to always remember that, because if that's true, poverty is a mental state, then so is abundance. So is financial abundance. It is a mental state. attractive thinker. Hey, we're dropping gems all day long throughout this message. You need to capture these gems. If poverty is a mental state, so is abundance. If poverty is a spirit, so is abundance. Abundance is a spirit. Abundance is an energy. Abundance is a mindset. Abundance is a thought pattern. And you're going to get all of these resources and powerful truths and the tools that you need to go deeper with this message in the Attractive Thinker book. It is essential to have the book. I cannot stress that enough. I poured my heart and soul into this book, and as a result of coaching attractive thinkers just like you. This is real information, real resources, and real solutions to help you accomplish your life ideas, dreams, and desires, and your business goals, our dreams, ideas, dreams, and desires. These are real resources. I didn't just write a book to be writing a book. And this is not a book. It's a transformational experience. If you're getting a lot from these messages beyond the break and the attractive thinker, listening to the visual encourager cast vision and break things down and help you see beyond what you're looking at, the attractive thinker book is for you. It's a way to continue this experience. It's a way to have this experience every day. It's a way to get real change and real results in your life and in your business as a new and aspiring entrepreneur. And I love the way the book is designed because you don't have to. When I started out as an entrepreneur, Tichet, I was going everywhere because I couldn't find everything that I needed all in one place. I had to go here to this conference and get that. And I had to go over here to this conference and get that. I had to go listen to this speaker and go to this retreat and attend this mastermind. Everything because certain leaders and speakers and coaches offer specific things. You want business strategy, you want marketing, or you might want sales, or you might be in the beginning stages in the new and aspiring entrepreneurs that I support. You don't even have a website. You don't know what to put on your business card. You don't know what your idea is. You don't know how to package it and craft it and make it a smooth message, a compelling message that people want your products and services, to make them want what you have to offer. You don't know how to do that. You don't even know how to register your business name. You don't even know what it is that you're offering. You're full of gifts and ideas, or you just don't know how to give birth to them or get them out. And this is why we exist. So I captured all of that. I've flown planes. I spent thousands of dollars over the years in trains and yachts and buses and going all over the country, trying to give birth to this vision inside of me, trying to find a way to get it out. And what I've discovered is no one person has all of the answers to take me from A to Z. They can't do it in one setting. It's too much. An entire week, if you spent an entire week with me, I still can't give you everything that I've discovered in my spirit. It's impossible. But I could pour my heart and soul out into a form, which is a book. And that was the best form that I could give this to you in, which was a book. It was too much to put on a CD. It was too much to put in a workbook. It was too much to put it in these other formats, a digital format and all this and that. I had to put it in a book form because that was my best form to capture it and give it to you. Why the Attractive Thinker book? Why is it 726 pages? Because it is the one thing that you need to prevent you from conference hopping. It's the one thing that you need that's missing in your gift bag, in your conference bag. While they put the bottle of water and the chips and the mint in there with your flyer, they forgot to put a mindset in that bag. They forgot to give you the tools to handle life while life is happening, while you're trying to implement the CD program you just purchased. They forgot to tell you how to handle frustrations and disappointments. They forgot to tell you what do you do with people's accusations and opinions and the lack of support when you're growing your business. They forgot to put that in the bag. Well, I didn't forget to put it in the book. I didn't forget to put it in the book because this is what it's going to take for you to be successful in your life. All of these Beyond the Break episodes, you're going to need these episodes and these resources. You're going to need the notes that you just wrote in your Attractive Thinker notebook. And you might say, well, if you don't need it now, I promise you on this entrepreneurial journey, you're going to need it later. You're going to need it for where you're going. I promise you that. I keep my notes, Tichet, from down through the years. Do you know I still have my diary from when I was a teenager? That's how important notes are to me because I can look back on my childhood. I can see the state of my mind where I was at 13 and 14 and 12 and 11 and 10 years old and compare it to where I am now as an adult and learn something about myself. Because attractive thinker, in your attractive thinker notebook, you're not just taking notes, you're leaving notes. You're not just taking notes, you're leaving notes for if you're in your 20s, you're leaving notes for your 30-year-old self. So when you look back on it, you can learn something about yourself. You can maneuver pitfalls because you've already been there and done that. So this attractive thinker notebook that you have in your hand is a true treasure. You don't want to ignore this message today. Tichet, you said you can have millions and still feel the effects of poverty. And I said that it's in your spirit and you don't want to ignore it. You want to address that. That's something you don't want to ignore. If poverty is in your spirit, you're going to have to confront it and deal with that. And you might say, well, Dr. Toni, how in the world can I go into my spirit and address and shift anything? Let me share something with you. Just acknowledging it is the beginning. It's the start. It's the start. It's the start of this journey. When you can't even acknowledge that your spirit needs to be addressed, you can't get started addressing anything because you don't think anything needs to be addressed. As soon as you acknowledge, you say, well, you know what? I've adjusted every other area of my life. I've fixed this and tweaked that and remodeled this and painted over top of that and put wallpaper over that and changed the curtains over here. But I never thought that I could go into my spirit and change anything and reshape anything and move anything around, but you can. And the first start of that, the beginning stages of that is first acknowledging that I need to go inside and see what's in there. I need to see what I'm carrying in my spirit that could be keeping me from my goals, that could be holding me back. I need to do some spirit cleaning. We have, springtime comes and we do spring cleaning. We need to do some spirit cleaning. And it doesn't mean that anything is wrong with you. It just means that you want to remove the things that no longer serve you. That's it. This doesn't have to be a hard thing. It doesn't have to be a painful process. It's just like going in your closet. You haven't worn those shoes in 10 years. Pick those shoes up and put them in a bag and give them to someone or get rid of them. Because the more you get rid of, the more room you make for the things that really serve you in your life. Could it be that the things that you desire the most can't even get to you because you don't have room? Could that be what's holding you back? Is that you don't even have room for anything else in your life? You don't have room for more? You don't have room for anything new, because all of the things that aren't serving you, that you don't have the courage to get rid of, is taking up the space. Or that you haven't taken the time to get rid of is taking up the space. You might say, well, Dr. Toni, this seems like a lot. It seems like a lot of work that I have to do to get free. Here's a great place to start. Why don't you start with your wallet? Why don't you start with your purse? Cleaning that out and see how that affects your financial status. See if money doesn't start blowing in your direction. You can start right there. Because, again, if you've been listening to these messages and following the Attractive Thinker Generation for some time, you already know how you do one thing is how you do everything. So I don't have to readjust my entire life. If I readjust one area, it affects my entire life. I want you to think about that. If you adjust one area, it will affect all the other areas in your life. And that's a start. And then after you clean out your purse or your wallet, you go start cleaning out your car. You'd be surprised at what you find in your car when you clean it out. And then after you get organized in your wallet and in your car, it's going to shift how you feel. And as soon as your feelings shift, the things that you attract will begin to shift as well. As soon as your feelings are elevated, as soon as that joy rises, you'll begin to attract more things into your life that match that joy, that level of joy that you're experiencing. It's not hard. You don't have to listen. I want to empower you, attractive thinker and visionary, meaning give you your power back. Your power has been taken away from you when you begin to value everything outside of you more than you value what's inside of you. You've given your power away. Empowering you means showing you in practical ways how you can make simple adjustments in your life for massive results. That's empowering you. You're sitting on the power. You're walking around with the power every day. You don't have to go outside of yourself. You don't need a third party. You are the power. Life is responding to you, attractive thinker and visual encourager. This is what I've discovered down through the years. I don't have to keep running here and there and everywhere when I sit with myself, when I sit with my own navigation system, when I sit with my own tuition and the Spirit of God in me. Okay, in your attractive thinker notebook, I want you to write the name of one person who can tell you your purpose in this life, who can tell you why you were born specifically. Name one person who has the answers for your life. Name one person who has the master design for the manufacturer for your life. Name one. I'm waiting. I don't see anything on the paper because there is no one. There is no one. People outside of us who are spiritual, they are guides. They can't tell you who you are. That's up for you to discover that. But they can give you the tools to help you discover it. So this should end your search of looking outside of yourself for what lies within, for the answers that are within you. All it calls is for you to believe that this is true about yourself, that your power lies within, and then you honor it by setting aside space just for you to get to know you, just for you to sit with yourself. And when you begin to sit with yourself, the truth rises. Ideas that you never thought of, experiences that you had that you forgot about, that can give you answers to what you're dealing with right now will come to the surface. Sometimes, Tichet, in our lives, the answers cannot be shaken and loose from our foundation, the depth of us, and rise to the surface because we're too busy. We're too busy and we're too distracted and we're ignoring who we really are. We're ignoring the core of who we really are. If I'm all over the place and I'm moving and shaking, how are the answers going to come to the surface? And even if they did, how are they going to get my attention because I'm so distracted by everything else that's going on in my life? You have to sit still. Scripture says, be still and know. You want to know? Be still. Be still and know. Be still and you'll know. You don't need money to be still. You know how many accusations have been blamed, how many excuses have been blamed on money that has nothing to do with money? It doesn't cost you anything to sit still. That's where your treasure is. Tichet, you said some things that made me write down these notes about why not initiate this. See, we search outside of ourselves for things, but why not? You said earlier, we search outside of ourselves for things just to get there and realize something's missing. So I'm saying in my notes, I said, well, why not initiate the search internally so we can enjoy the results that we get externally? Instead of getting there, like you said, and realizing something's missing. What is that something that's missing? Us, the core of who we are, we're missing. We create this elaborate life based on the world's standards. And when we get there, we're not there. My true self is not there. Who I really am is not there. The facade, the fake, the imposter me is there. But I didn't spend enough time with myself to get to the truth of who I am. So somebody else is showing up for me, and that's what's missing. You're not there. And that's what you're feeling when you feel like something's missing, something's not right. It's missing in you. It's in you. It's in you, attractive thinker, visionary. It's in you. Um, Tichet, you said other things that led me in the direction of fear. Um, the reason why we don't sit with ourselves or get to the root of our core belief. And I thought to myself, I said, we've been sold suffering and we've been sold fear, so much so to the point that it's hard to imagine living a dream life, because you were trying to describe living a dream life, waking up feeling fulfilled and having meaning and happy and excited about life. And for a lot of people around the world, that word dream is a turnoff for them. Living my dream life. I mean, come on, think about it, attractive thinker. Why wouldn't you deserve to live the desires of your heart? That came from your heart. Why else are we here? Were we really sent here to conform to the systems that exist, that try to tell us what to do with our power and our lives? Were we really sent here to conform? No, scripture says, be not conformed, but be ye transformed by what? Renewing your attractive thinker mind. Be ye transformed by renewing your mind. We weren't sent here to conform. So what does that mean? I wasn't sent here to not live my dreams. Why would I come here with a heart full of dreams that I'm supposed to just dream about and never live? I trust that you're not ignoring this message, attractive thinker and visionary. We've been soul suffering, and that's why we can't imagine a life other than suffering, to shed. When we think about, I mean, come on, sometimes you have to say these things out of your mouth for you to really feel the impact of what's really going on inside. Why wouldn't I believe that I could wake up in the morning and enjoy the life that I'm living, the air that I'm breathing, my own good thoughts? Why have I gotten used to having these negative, contrary thoughts and beating myself up all throughout the day until I lay my head back on the pillow? Why am I comfortable with that? Why do I think that that's what life is all about? Why do I think that that's what I have to settle for? Because, like you said, Tichet, nobody in my family has ever gone beyond that point. Nobody in my neighborhood has ever, I mean, where are the people that I can talk about positive things to? Never had that in my life. It's because you're the one. The only reason that you've listened to this message all the way up until this point is because you're the one. You're the one to carve that new generational path in your life and in your business, so that the people around you will have a fighting chance of believing that they too can do the same thing. In the book, the Attractive Thinker book, there's a story about a man who was pursuing something that was never done before. It was impossible. It was never done before. Once he accomplished it, it was accomplished by hundreds of other people, all because they saw him do it first. There are some things in your life, attractive thinker and visionary, that are designed for you to accomplish them, and only you can do it. But the thing about it is, there are hundreds and thousands of other people attached to that accomplishment. And that means that they won't even attempt to do it if they don't see you do it first. Don't think everybody around you is a hater. No, they're secretly, silently wishing and hoping that you win. They may not ever in this lifetime come to you and say it, but they are secretly, silently hoping that you do what you said you were going to do, that you reach that goal, that you overcome that hurdle, that you accomplish, that you get up and shake yourself off, shake off the dust of your past and shake off that pain, because they know you're strong and they know you're confident, and they know they can depend on you, and they know you have what it takes to make it and to persevere and to press and to push. Everybody does not have that. I did not know that. People used to say, but Toni, you're strong. I had family members who say, but Toni, you're strong. I was like, what are you talking about? You're strong too. But they weren't in that area. And it never crossed my mind that everybody didn't have this level of strength. Everybody has a measure of strength. But when you're an attractive thinker, you have more than enough strength for you and for others. You can carry yourself and others to the finish line. You can help yourself and others write their books and launch their business ideas. Anytime you see, as an attractive thinker, every time you hear somebody say, I want to write my book, but you turn around and you roll your sleeves up, you say, what did you just say? You want to write your book and do what? And you start spewing out answers and solutions just like it's nothing. The things that come out of your mouth with flow and ease, people have struggled with for 15 and 20 years. But it comes easy for you because you've been given a certain level of strength and courage and confidence. And that's why it's important for you to win. Because they won't know that they can win if they don't see you win. Do not ignore this message. You don't want to ignore this message. Capture these gems. Listen to this message again, over and over and over again, until you get it down in your spirit. It's going to change your core belief if you get this message down in your spirit. We're not just talking and flapping off at the lips here. This is real. And if you apply these resources and apply this message and these words that you're hearing, it will get you to your core belief. It will support you and get into your core belief so you can make some adjustments. If your core belief is all about you, what if you discover that you believe that you're not successful, or you believe that you're not so suchy much, or you're not great? What if you believe that if your core belief is that you're a failure? Can you imagine how that's affecting everything about your life? It affects the food you eat. It affects them flip-flops that you put on your feet. If you feel like if your core belief is that you are a failure, it affects everything. It affects what color you put on your fingernails. It's just that deep. It affects how you tie that necktie, how you wear that hat. Somebody just slouch. Some people just slam hats on their head, and other people know how to wear a hat. Your core belief affects that. That's how important it is. So listening to this message over and over and over again will support you in getting to your core belief. And you might say, well, Dr. Toni, where do I start? I'm going to say it again. Sit with yourself. Set aside some time. You make time in meetings and appointments with everyone else. You go on dates and go to events with everyone else. Now it's time for you to date yourself. Put it on your calendar. It could be 5 minutes. It doesn't have to be. You say, well, I don't have a lot of time. You have 5 minutes. You have 30 seconds. It's a start. Just sit for 30 seconds and listen to your breath. You are the best thing that has ever happened to you. It's you. You are who you've been looking for. It's you. God made you in this earth, and that's why you're deserving and worthy, because you're here. You're breathing this air just like I'm breathing this air. We're all here together. There are no people that are more deserving or less deserving than others. You deserve richness and abundance and to have your dreams and ideas come to fruition as well. You're worthy and you're deserving. You just need to, number one, believe that. And then keep spending enough time with yourself where you keep positioning yourself as that. Meaning you're not settling for anything less than what you know you deserve. But you can't decide whether to settle for something or not if you don't know what you deserve. If you don't know what your worth is. Think about that. Lastly, I want to say, once you decide what to believe, and establish your core belief to shut, you said, then you can go out here and make decisions. So out of all that you've done to try and accomplish your life and business goals, this time start from the core and then do it again. Sometimes you're doing the right thing. You don't even have to change anything you're doing. Just start from the core. Get the core right. address the core, and then do it again and see the results that you're going to get. You only are going to see results from this message because you apply it, because you take it seriously, because you believe it. We get what we believe. We don't get what we want. We get what we believe. And it's time for you to believe in yourself. Tichet, tell our audience how they can get in touch with you, the visual encourager.
Absolutely. You can find me on my website at www.visualencouragement.com, providing mental support for visionaries who desire to move mountains but need help lifting the heaviness so that you can create a new vision for yourself. Even though my schedule is busy and I'm not accepting any new clients in this moment, please put in your information so
Mhm.
that you can be notified the next time I have a new opening. But in the meantime, attractive thinkers and visionaries, enjoy my blog, enjoy my Powerball. There's enough information that is going to be on there that will help you through your journey. Again, that's www.visualencouragement.com. Peace.
Awesome. Attractive thinkers and visionaries around the world. I am so excited that we had the opportunity to share this message with you today. And I trust that you know exactly what to do with it because you've been with us for some time now. And I know that you're going to sit with yourself. I can't wait to hear your results. If this message resonated with you, and which I know it did, click the like button. Subscribe to our YouTube channel, Beyond the Break 2020. That's 2020, and click that share button and share this message, this powerful, impactful message with your circle of influence because if it changed your life, it'll change other people's lives as well. Visit our website, theattractivethinker.guru. Go on Amazon and grab your copy of the Attractive Thinker book if you have not already done so. I promise you it'll be hard to put it down, and it'll be like a warm blanket of comfort and healing to you that will walk throughout your day with you and bringing things to your attention that you're missing and that you never considered because you have tools now. You have mental tools to support you to address the core belief and to support you in reaching your goals. The things that you desire are now going to be attracted to you. They're going to stand out to you because you now are honoring the most important person in your life, and that's you. God is in you. You and God are one. My Father and I are one. When you honor yourself, you're honoring God. Dr. Toni Hatton here, your identity coach and get to the root specialist at theattractivethinker.guru, where we support new and aspiring entrepreneurs so you can give birth to those books and create those business ideas. We provide the mental tools for mental healing and mental strength and mindset maintenance so that you can understand who you are, remove those limiting beliefs, squash that fear and that procrastination, and do what you came here to do. Create, live, and leave a legacy that speaks when you no longer can. You always hear us say, our life's work, it's going to always be to make your life better. Remember, it is not what you're going through, it's how you're viewing it. Think attractively, and we'll see you soon.